Senator Rick Scott.
So, good afternoon. Welcome to the Capitol. What do you think about Kash Patel? You know, I told CPAC leadership that next year's event should be down in my home state of Florida. You know, we also have a great view of the Gulf of America. And by the way, the weather's a little bit better. I think it's about 75 degrees. So the first thing I want to do is I want to thank you. I want to thank CPAC for all your friendship and support. You know, last year I ran to be Senate Majority Leader. And many of you very vocally supported me. And I'll be eternally grateful. Your vocal support changed the Senate. You did it. Now, for too long, Washington has been known for all the wrong things. Big spending, no results. Waste and inefficiency. Washington is about enriching politicians like Nancy Pelosi. Yep. Bureaucrats like Anthony Fauci at the expense of the American people. Washington was always about protecting the status quo because the politicians in Washington made money off of it. Washington was about a radical social and environmental agenda, about forever wars, open borders, lies and no accountability. Washington was about Washington. It wasn't about the American people who simply want to lead their lives without bureaucrats telling them what the hell to do. All of that is changing, and it's changing fast because of one person, Donald J. Trump being in the White House. Now, President Trump is bringing common sense back to Washington and accountability back to Washington. He's working with great leaders like Elon Musk to bring efficiency back to Washington. And the Democrats are complaining like crazy, but he's changing Washington in record time. He's bringing the voice of the American people back to Washington. President Trump is making America great again. Now, what's he deserve? He deserves our thanks and our respect. But what's he get instead? He gets lies and obstruction for the Democrats, the mainstream media, and even some establishment Washington Republicans desperately clinging to relevance. Mitch McConnell supports Merrick Garland's nomination for Attorney General. He's already voted against 3 of President Trump's cabinet nominees. AOC, she's yelling about fascism. CNN is blaring that the Trump administration is a threat to democracy and ushering a constitutional crisis. Guess what? Here's the good news. They're the past. Their voices no longer matter. Their shadow can no longer hang over politics. They lost, the American people won. What happened last fall? President Trump and an army of supporters like you all across this great country started a movement. One that changed the country and reset our future for a golden era. The future is about you and your hopes and your dreams. It's about us. It's about amplifying the voices of the American people and finally giving the government they're paying for and that they deserve. Now, a couple years ago, in the midst of Joe Biden's disastrous presidency, or whoever was in charge, I put out a plan with some ideas to rescue this country. from the radical Democrats who are trying to destroy our values and bankrupt us in the process. Now, the way the Democrats and establishment Republicans responded, you would have thought I broke the law. And the craziest part of it, I couldn't tell who hated more, Joe Biden or Mitch McConnell. Now think about it. I proposed some really crazy ideas, so just think about these. Teach our students about the U.S. Constitution. That's a hard one. The Bill of Rights, our founding fathers. Have their kids recite the Pledge of Allegiance and salute the flag. Eliminating the Department of Education. Banning the federal government from asking American citizens to disclose their race or skin color on government forms. Funding our police and enforcing all of our laws. Securing the border, build the wall, name the wall after Donald Trump. Start growing the American economy, not the Washington economy. Enacting term limits for member of Congress. And federal bureaucrats. Protecting the integrity of the American election. Protecting, defending, promoting the American family at all costs. Believing in science. Guess what? Men are men. Women are women. Unborn babies, they're babies. Sorry, Democrats. I was tarred and feathered for proposing such crazy ideas. But it was worth it, because it was time for Republicans, at least the true, honest, conservative Republicans, to stand up and fight the hell back. Now, here in Washington, we're seeing what truly fighting back gets us. The bureaucrats are scared that their lies are being exposed. The muddy spigot is being turned off. NGOs across the world and liberal think tanks around the world are scrambling because their golden goose has finally laid its last egg. Corporate America is tripping over itself to reverse racist DEI programs that seek to divide us by race, gender, and creed. Now, fighting back gets us a government that's listening, an administration that's focused on a stronger future, a president that really cares, who truly fights for us, and who will not accept the status quo any longer. Now, let me say what I said a few years ago when I introduced my plan to rescue our country. Failure is not an option. The future of this country depends on each and every one of us and the actions we take today, tomorrow, and the months to come. Now, I've got grandkids. Many of you in this room and watching on TV, you've got kids and grandkids as well. In America, we used to believe we had a duty, a sacred duty, to leave things better for our children and our grandchildren than we found them. $2 trillion deficits, $36 trillion in debt, Medicare and Social Security going bankrupt, failing schools, high crime rates. Means that hasn't happened. Instead, our political and cultural rot has made things harder for our kids and our grandkids than they were for each of us. It's harder to get a good education now than it was when I was growing up. It's harder to buy a home. It's harder to start a business. It's harder to get a good, full-paying job. It's harder to live the American dream. That's wrong. That cannot be our legacy. Those of us fighting side by side in the conservative movement have faced significant obstacles, even unfortunately inside our own party. But you and we have kept fighting. We have to fight harder now. We have the opportunity, but it takes our fight. Now, we all watched what happened in Butler. We all saw President Trump stand up and raise his fist, and what did he do? Fight, fight, fight. Even in the face of unimaginable obstacles, he kept fighting. Now we know he's going to keep fighting. I know I'm going to keep fighting, and I know everybody in this room is going to keep fighting with us. Thank you for what you're doing. God bless every one of you. God bless the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and God bless this great country. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
ARP really watching out for these days. They've made billions partnering with big health insurance corporations while opposing reforms seniors want, like applying